Do you remember when South Park did this?
Why do you want Britney Spears to die?
Well, nobody wants her to die, little boy. We all simply need her to. Throughout history, people have found it necessary to engage in human sacrifice. Only difference is that now Americans like to watch people put to death through magazines and photographs, to be built up and adored, and then sacrificed for harvest.
I think that's what's happening to Brendan Schaub.
Get in there nice and deep like.
39 years old, Brendan's a former college football player, former UFC fighter, now a podcaster, and a comedian. Brendan's career outside the ring has been very similar to that of his time inside the ring. He's taken a lot of blows. Mainly, he's been scrutinized for allegedly harassing a popular comedian.
But we don't have to get into it right away. Let's just ease into it.
He has a bit of trouble with words.
Fucking Martin Scorsese or whatever the fuck it is.
Scorsese.
He's been accused of stealing jokes.
Oh, eat your dick! Like Kobayashi.
Kobayashi!
And online critics have made it very clear they don't approve of his specials.
Dicey.
It all seems like a recipe for failure, but Brendan's turned it to wealth and fame. A lot of the hate comes from Brendan appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast more than anyone else in the show's history. Podcasting was Schaub's way out of the ring, but it seems like he bit off more than he could chew. It didn't take long for Schaub to become the centerpiece for multiple controversies. There's channels with thousands of followers dedicated solely to making fun of Schaub. Theo Von quit The King and the Sting, and thousands of people continue to comment on every move he makes, daily. After college, Brendan had hopes of making an NFL team.
So I had a cappuccino with the Buffalo Bills. And they're like, we're all set on slow white guys.
So he decided to try MMA. He was a pretty good fighter. He's undefeated as an amateur, rising through the ranks quickly. Schaub was given a shot at the next level.
You're funny. You should be a comedian. You're funny. You should be a comedian.
Brendan wasn't the best fighter, but he wasn't bad. He won his next 4 fights, and in 2011... This, however, was the height of Schaub's fighting career. He lost 4 of his next 6. He took a lot of damage. It got so bad that Joe Rogan felt the need to step in.
I feel like I have a duty as a friend to tell you the honest truth, how I feel about things before it's too late. If you had a wrestling match with Cain Velasquez, how well do you think you'd do?
I think people would be surprised.
Really? You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd be surprised. You're young, you're intelligent, you can talk, and you have income coming in from podcasting. You can start a fucking clothing line and make way more money than you ever did with fucking fighting. No. That's a fact. If I didn't love you, I would have never said none of the shit that I said.
A lot of people didn't like that Joe decided to do this live on his podcast.
Well, you said you wanted to do it on this?
Oh, that's a bad idea. I feel like that's Brian's idea.
And Callen made sure to sponsor it.
We have to talk about our sponsors.
What a fucking lame way to introduce sponsor.
Brendan first started appearing on JRE in a segment called Fight Companion. Schaub was one of the main guests. They would comment, react, and discuss the fights as they happened live. He was a former fighter, so that gave his word credibility.
Am I crazy?
He was liked by the JRE community. On the same episode, Joe told Brendan to quit fighting. Whether knowingly or not, planted a seed.
He say funny shit, dude.
He says he comes up with every one of the fucking memes. You know, it's ridiculous.
You say funny shit, man.
Yeah, you do. You have a ridiculous talent for that.
Yeah, you're a funny dude.
You just also happen to be a ridiculous athlete.
Yeah, you're a funny, clever dude, and that's the kind of shit that goes away when you get hit in the head too much.
On episode 706, Schaub made it official.
For right now, I got to take a step away and focus on this crazy freaking entertainment podcast career I got going on.
Brendan and Bryan already had a decently successful podcast. Callen started taking Brendan to comedy clubs. He showed him the ropes. After a few years of doing small sets, Brendan made his comedic debut at the Comedy Store in LA. Off the stage, the fighter and the kid couldn't come to an agreement with Fox Sports. Rumors are Fox didn't care for Callen, and even more so, the cursing. The fighter and the kid went to YouTube. By 2017, Schaub was doing solo stand-up tours. As your popularity grows, so will the haters. And Brendan's got a lot of haters. In October 2017, a post was made to the Joe Rogan subreddit titled, "This is why nobody likes Brendan Schaub."
I don't really hate on a lot of people, but man, what's one thing everyone hates around the world? Bullies.
That's why being bullied is so dangerous to some people. Because if they get really fucked with by people and tormented by people in high school, that shit can carry over the rest of their life. It devastates their confidence. So in their early developmental period, they have this really poor self-image. And having a poor self-image is fucking super hard to get over.
Kind of told, I don't know if I've ever told in detail. So I had a roommate who was the biggest bitch on the team. For whatever reason, I had to room with the kid. And me and him did not get along. We played the same position. So he was the guy where, dude, what's mine is yours. I eat like one Triscuit, and then I come home and he put sticky notes all over his entire food. Literally open the box of Nutri-Grain, put it all in, and I go, what the fuck? So what do? I eat all of it and I throw out the rest and then put it all back. Throw it. Then I go to practice.
That's funny.
And I come back.
That's so funny.
Right? And I'm ready to throw down. Right? I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna fuck this dude up and we're gonna figure it out. My phone's ringing like nonstop. I'm like, what the fuck? I answer it. I go, hello? It's his mom. He called his mom and told his mom what I did. We're in college. We're juniors or sophomores in college. I'm like,
that guy sucks.
Listen to this.
All these people suck.
Wait for this, B. So I'm like, what the fuck? His mom, and I just go, his mom's like, talk to me, like, yell at me. I just go, get the fuck out of here. Hang up. Super disrespectful, which I never am. But get the fuck out of here. Hang up the phone. And so at the time, there's only one parking spot for our place.
So his mother said, Brendan, you ate all of his food?
You got to pay it back. You need to apologize. And started tearing into me about my character. I went, fuck off, hung up the phone. Which, you talk to my mom like that, I'm going to rip your face off.
Of course.
Which is all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to fight this.
Yeah.
There may have been haters, but there was more views. He joined up with a truly adored comedian
Teodoro.
to make the King and the Sting podcast. By 2018, he was the owner of 3 successful podcasts. He was selling clothes and rubbing elbows with the biggest comedians in the game. His popularity was growing so fast he even got Showtime to produce his first special.
What the fuck?
Remember earlier when Roy Nelson knocked Brendan out? How his fighting career only went downhill from there? That's what this moment was, but to his comedy career. It's not surprising that this is one of the lowest rated specials of all time. He produced it after only doing a few years of comedy. It takes the best comedians out there around a decade before they put out their first special. Like actors, politicians, or athletes. When you put yourself on that stage, you open yourself up to scrutiny. Instead of rolling with the punches and laughing with the fans like his UFC career, he leaned into it. He asked his fans for a review, advertising a 50% off purchase of CBD oil if you left a comment that, quote, Brendan deserved. And it didn't take long for the mob to make its way to the comment section of The Fighter and the Kid. What was once a comment section filled with comedy and sports was now a slaughterhouse for Brendan's blurbs.
I know, nightmare.
The subreddit became so popular, it even developed its own glossary, explaining in great detail Schaubisms. Still, there was light at the end of the tunnel. The King and the Sting was popular. Who doesn't adore Theo?
Teodoro.
But then The Fighter and the Kid took a hit. Chris D'Elia, friend, comedian, and regular guest on The Fighter and the Kid, was accused of chatting with people under the age of what some would find appropriate.
I know that it's been a really long time since you've heard from me, and when the news broke, I put out a statement that said everything I've done has been legal and consensual, and that's true, and I wanted that statement to speak for itself.
Cutting ties with D'Elia meant losing a lot of fans. Half of their most watched episodes featured D'Elia.
You know what's going on with our friend Chris. I'm not, in these situations, people in Hollywood tell you what to say. And I said to Brendan, what we can do is tell the truth. And I'm not going to sit here. I'm a man, and I define myself on how I respond to these situations in real time when the pressure's really on. And so this is what I'll say. I always knew Chris is a ladies' man. I have never, and I'm going to say this, I have never seen or heard of him doing anything illegal. Ever.
I can't talk.
It's just, it's like,
I'm as shocked as anyone. I'm hurt. I'm mad. I'm fucking mad, man. I'm mad at him.
okay.
Callen was hit with multiple accusations.
I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here defending myself against something I did not do 21 years ago. So this is me saying that I categorically and absolutely deny all the allegations against me.
Schaub again wasn't able to roll with the punch, but the show kept going, but Schaub had a different guest on every episode. He didn't talk about Callen, he just said he was on vacation. Callen later made a few guest appearances. He's now since fully returned to the show. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, the tiger belly thing happened. Here it is in a nutshell.
Help! I'm in a nutshell.
Brendan is married with kids. Brendan allegedly made a pass at Kalila. Kalila was at the time Bobby Lee's girlfriend.
I had a guy that was like, why don't you walk me to my truck, this married guy, where I'm like, and we know him, I'm not gonna say who it is, but he's like,
know him.
why don't you give me a walk, why don't you give, like, you should walk me to my truck. I'm like, so what, I can blow you? Like, what?
Wait,
like,
who was it? Oh.
but it's just like, it's like,
Ew.
why would I?
Wait,
like,
I love that we have the same people that
yes, the same ones come
want
through.
us to
He
walk
came
them
for
to their.
you?
Oh, he came for me so hard, and we know his chick.
And like the thing that I think is like at least a little
Esther,
bit
look at
better.
your
The fact, Esther, he's coming for you. Don't worry.
That is, it's just crazy.
Now that you washed your hair, maybe.
Esther, on
maybe
New
now
Year-
that you washed your hair.
on New Year's Eve, while he was having dinner with his family, he was like, "What are you doing tonight?"
This year?
Maybe 3 years ago. He was like, "What are you doing tonight?" I was like, left him on red.
But
was
he
like, well,
knows
I
you're-
hate that I'm with my
Yes.
in-laws right now. Do you want to go? He
At
did that
least
to
that
me.
is like he thinks you're gonna be a partner in crime. Like for me, I was like single. I'm like, why would I like? It's not like we're deviants together. It's like you think, because I was thinking about like if we go to your truck, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
let's say I was like in, which I was never in at all. Let's say I was in. It's like,
I love this.
So wait, we walk to my car. I finished my spot, being very good at comedy. You not being good at comedy, and then
That's a clue.
By the way, I don't want like to be seen with you. I
That's
don't.
the biggest clue you could ever give.
The comment section quickly deduced that they were talking about Brendan. This seemed to really take a toll on Brendan.
I said, dude, I'm getting a lot of shit about this. I'm married with kids. I said, it's not good. I said, in Bobby's exact words were, I'll fix this. Whatever that means.
Okay, so we didn't confirm nor deny. We figured it would die out in a week anyway.
Agree. That's the cycle.
On March 3rd, you text Bobby asking if he's handled the quote-unquote Kalila shit yet because you're still getting negative comments. In this text chain, you said, I don't want to have to get nasty with her, but if I have no choice, this is all direct quotes, I can def play that game. And this was referring to the months that Bobby and I were in an open relationship, thinking that that was somehow going to directly hurt me.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's like, you know, the open relationship. You and I, we were. That's not for the we even talked about it. It's not for the public consumption.
It seems like they figured stuff out. Kalila wasn't talking about Brendan anymore. Until a short time later on the Trash Tuesday podcast.
Potentially, we were being threatened, a lawsuit. And I'm like scared to even say that out
We
loud.
can't really. We just won't say the name, right? But
We
we'll
won't.
just-
Yeah. But someone was like behind the scenes threatening to sue us.
Even the thing that started it all was really just an anonymous anecdote.
And I'll
that
say this
kind of,
to
like,
that
blew
person,
up. Yeah.
to that person who threatened us, I'll say this. You think you have a one over me? I fucking dare you, motherfucker. I dare you. Let it out of your chest because that is actually not a real threat. You think you're threatening me, but it's kind of, that information's already out there, you little bitch.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Bobby said Brendan and Callen both called him, cursing him and threatening his career.
You guys called you. It was you and Bryan, and you said that that you guys, my career was going to be over. That you guys have evidence. You know what I mean? That that I'm some Reddit mastermind. That you have files and proof that you can trace, you know, me from Reddit back to my house, the URL, you know,
IP address.
the IP address, and that I have been for 5 or 6 years have been coyly and you know, mischiefully, you know, contributing to threads that were
Not contributing.
responsible, right? And that you know, that you were gonna expose me to Rogan and all these people, and that I should get a lawyer, and that I mean, this is what you had told me, and also just mind you, it was at a level 10 of rage. It wasn't like a soft-spoken, like, you know,
Very aggressive.
Yeah, it was extreme. You know what I mean? Threats, and then you called Kalila things I don't even want to mention.
I did not.
I know you didn't.
I would, and I haven't heard what you guys said. I don't talk like that. I would never call Kalila that. That's not in my
Brendan,
verbiage.
you called me that on the phone call we had.
I did not call you that.
Brent, you
I did not.
No, but you don't know what they said, so you can't.
Brian apologized. What Brian said on there, and even I told him that was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But what I found to be heartbreaking was going into a character assassination where you were saying, not you in particular, I don't even remember what, because I was I was so trembling almost, calling me a coward, weak, spineless. And my only defense to that is that I just have my own way of dealing with the world, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in such a traumatic childhood. I try to be passive, and I try to not, I'm afraid of confrontation, as everyone knows, in terms of my character. And, I said to Brian days after that assault, that I no longer want to be his friend.
Mm-hmm. And did you guys speak on the phone? Or
yeah, we
just
did.
Text?
Yeah.
And he
We spoke on the phone.
apologized, he said?
Yeah, he did apologize.
Yeah.
But,
he doesn't expect you to be his friend.
Schaub said he had 300 pages of evidence that proved Tiger Belly was behind the creation of the subreddit and for the years of abuse.
I'll show you the stuff that I have. You guys figure out what you want to do with it. This is what's interesting. Again, I don't think it's you
Will
guys.
you show me now?
I'll show you when we got.
We'll blur this off because we want to know. Because
I'll show you. Have to
I
show.
want the audience to think that
let me-
you actually showed us something you never did.
Well, yeah, I can show it to you. Here's the thing. This is what's interesting. Explain this however you want. When I notified you guys of the harassment and going back to Tiger Belly, that account stopped posting, took the Tiger Belly email off, and changed it. It's never posted again.
Do you know how Reddit works?
No.
So you seem to have very clear convictions about this alleged occurrence from my company, all the while not really knowing how Reddit posting works, Brendan. So that's a little bit.
Well, this team note, I promise you, this team note.
Okay,
Well, we've been asking you to speak with this team, and here's what I have to say about this. From my end, it looked foolish for you to be this fragile over something some three girls said on a podcast. It looked foolish. So in my end, the way I understand it is we need to come up with a bigger story about Kalila to incriminate, so that my reaction to that Trash Tuesday talk doesn't seem insane.
No.
That's
God,
how
no.
I receive
You're giving me
it.
too much credit. You're giving me too much credit. You're giving me way too much credit.
I don't
You think I'd want to... Again, I don't want this drama. I've been harassed for 6 years, guys. 6 years.
But I think that it makes sense that someone who has been harassed for 6 years would feel like he's on the back foot and would swing in this way. It makes sense to me.
I would only swing if this team who has nothing to do with comedy doesn't know you guys. I can't send you the documents. So
Okay.
You physically have them in your possession.
So
I can show it to you right now. When we get off, I can show you. As soon as we get done, I will show you all the shit I have.
If you thought things couldn't get any worse, then you've never heard of the special called Gringo Papi.
I married a Mexican, y'all.
Somehow this special was rated lower than his first. If you haven't seen it,
I don't mean like Taco Bell Mexican.
I suggest you do.
I'm talking Guadalajara.
So you can form your own opinion. It's on the Thick Boy YouTube channel. Brendan's taken a lot of blows in his career and he's kept on going. But losing Teodoro as co-host on The King and the Sting may be the biggest blow of his career, one that he may not be able to lean into. Theo was gone and so were the views. In recent months, it hasn't gotten any better for Schaub. Brendan's feuds have leaked outside the comedy world. It's hard to single out just one.
Who are your sources, Brendan? Who are your sources?
He has to be the dumbest motherfucker on the planet.
Documentary, The Most Hated Man on the Internet.
No. Who is the most hated man on the internet?
His name is Hunter Moore. I don't
Brendan Schaub just went like this.
Yet, Brendan is still standing. He continues to do stand-up. He's still got Food Truck Diaries, The Fighter and the Kid, Tiger Thick Whiskey, he's still selling clothes, and he has multiple YouTube channels that he posts to daily. Brendan never really asked for any of this. He's just an athlete. When his football career was over, the only thing he knew to do? Fight. Just a guy trying to make $1 who happened to have some friends in some very high places. This advice may have saved Schaub's life.
You're a funny, clever dude, and that's the kind of shit that goes away when you get hit in the head too much.
But it also opened the gates to everything. It's truly been fascinating to look into, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. Hopefully it doesn't have the same ending as that South Park episode.
In God's name, give me that old-time religion! Give me that old-time religion! It's good enough for me.